This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to be discussing natural remedies for eye infections in dogs. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. In today's video I'm featuring Pearl. She was one of Lewis's best buddies. So Pearl's here now, and it just so happens that the cat we are house sitting, Alejandro, has just discovered Pearl. So I'm just gonna show you them now and then we'll get right into today's video. As you can see, Alejandro is a bit suspicious, but he's a pretty confident cat, so he doesn't seem to be too concerned. Pearl, this is old hat. I often used her and Lewis together. She's been featured in several videos. There are a number of different things that can cause eye disorders in our dogs. The point of this video is specifically routine eye infections with a condition called conjunctivitis. Before I get too far into the video, there's three things I want to point out, or sort of big warning signs that should cause you to immediately seek veterinary care. So first of all, you're not sure at all there's anything going on with your dog's eye, by all means go see your veterinarian. If it appears that your dog's eye is almost distended or bulging, they may have a condition called glaucoma that requires immediate veterinary care. If the eye changes in color, becomes opaque, for instance, which may suggest something like glaucoma, may suggest something has damaged the surface of the eye, causing fluid to get in there, that requires immediate veterinary care. Lastly, if the eye is very painful, your dog is really rubbing at it, go see a veterinarian. And or if the eye appears indented in some way, where there could be something called a corneal ulcer, where you have an ulcer in the surface of the eye. If that's the case, then that requires immediate veterinary care. This video, though, is covering routine eye infections and some of the natural remedies that you can consider using. So the most common cause of red eye in dogs is called conjunctivitis. And that's inflammation or redness around that whole pink tissue around your dog's eye. So this is Pearl's left eye here, that I got my left hand on. I'm going to use my both hands to show her eyes. So that pink tissue, when I pull open her lower lid, you can see all that pink tissue. That's called the conjunctiva, and that goes all around underneath the upper and lower lid. It's called the conjunctival tissue. This little pink tissue where there appears like something going to cover the eye, that's called the third eyelid. It can also be infected in conjunctivitis. This clear, that center of the eye, just underneath that third eyelid, that's the cornea. In the middle of that is the pupil, and underneath that lies the lens, which focuses the light onto the back of the eye. And if you see, there's sort of a whitish area. Let me see if I can see better in just a second, Pearl. That whitish area just above the cornea, so right there where my thumb was, that whitish area is called the sclera. In conjunctivitis, where there's inflammation of that red tissue around the eye, the conjunctiva, generally the conjunctiva is red. Typically what you're seeing is, this red eye, and your dog has discharge, from the corner of her eye. So you'd expect to see discharge here. There are a number of different causes of conjunctivitis. The most common would be bacterial. So there's some type of bacterial infection where you get staph bacteria on the outside of the skin getting into the eye, causing it to become infected. It may be allergic, so your dog is reacting to environmental pollens, for instance, causing the eyes to become red and inflamed, still producing discharge. There's a condition called follicular conjunctivitis, where often we'll see in these puppies, and I still suspect there's probably an allergic basis to it, but it gets very reactive. You sometimes see small bumps on the conjunctiva, making it being very red and inflamed and producing that discharge. Your dog may have an underlying condition called KCS or dry eye, where they're not producing enough tears. In that instance,
Typically clients would come in where their dog's eyes almost appear to be glued shut in the morning, so they're not producing enough tears. And secondarily, because of that, the eyes are becoming infected and having conjunctivitis. So if your dog has a primary bacterial eye infection, conjunctivitis, there are a number of different home remedies that you can consider using. The first remedy you could consider using is polysporin for eyes. I've got the glasses on so I can read it. It contains polymyxin and gramicidin, and fairly safe, will help most uncomplicated staph infections causing conjunctivitis. I would be using about a 1/4 inch. I'm not going to demonstrate in Pearl, but I would be using a small bit, about a 1/4 inch of this ointment. And what I do in terms of treating any dog is I'm just getting you to pull down the lower lid, put about a 1/4 of that inch just into the lower lid, and just close your eyes. And you could be doing that twice a day, somewhere between 5 to 7 days will treat most uncomplicated eye infections. The next one I want to discuss is using a herb called euphrasia, and it's also known or sold under the brand called Eyelid. Specifically, it's shown to be very helpful for conjunctivitis, both in people and in our dogs. It's found in a number of different combinations. I went to my local co-op and they had it in this product here called Pink Eye Relief. Specifically used to relieve symptoms associated with conjunctivitis, inflammation, watering the redness. Let's just try a drop on myself. I don't want to do it on Pearl, just to see how this little dropper thing works and see if it'll help my eye. Okay, finally got the drops out. Feels actually pretty soothing. So there's another one, euphrasia or Eyelid in a drop formation, given 4 times a day to your dogs. Tea itself, it's more than just a drink. So I've just brewed up myself this is actually Earl Grey, so it's a standard black tea. It has a number of different properties to it, but not just for tasting and for drinking, but also being very beneficial for eye infections. It's got specific antibacterial compounds in them. It's very safe, it can be very soothing, and also works pretty well.
Here's my strong cup of black tea.
So if you're using it for an eye infections, it's something you want to be making daily. So yes, you're gonna have to go through 4 or 5 tea bags. And what I suggest is make it with boiling water first, let it cool down so it's at room temperature. And then I've just got myself a little 1 cc syringe. And you're gonna put 4 to 5 drops, approximately 4 to 5 times a day. Once again, just squirting it out. And as I said, I've used 1 tea bag and probably about 1/3 of a cup of water. So there it is here, kind of darkish looking fluid. And as I said, about 4 or 5 drops. And you're just gonna pull down your dog's lower lid again, not gonna do it in Pearl. Drop it into that lower lid and then just kind of close the eye so it works its way through. Another option, another tea, which is also antibacterial, fairly soothing, also anti-inflammatory, is green tea, which I've got here. Once again, you'll be making that daily, making it hot, so we're essentially producing it sterilized. So with boiling water, then letting it cool down to room temperature. And what I wanted is actually want to try, so here's my room temperature cooled green tea. Once again, you're going to put 4 or 5 drops, 4 to 5 times a day in your dog's eye, somewhere between 3 to 5 days. It's pretty standard, and that should help treat most of these simple, uncomplicated cases of conjunctivitis. So I want to try it on my own eye just to see, because I'm always forever trying it on our animals and suggesting that you guys use it on your dogs or your cats. So let's just do a drop on my eye. And just see, and pretty soothing. My eyes actually feel better. Actually, I've got euphrasia in this eye, green tea in this eye. Actually feel pretty good. It doesn't sting at all. So once again, another real simple solution for conjunctivitis. The last remedy I want to discuss is using this. There it is, honey. And this is local, relatively local, unpasteurized honey, which is ideal. in particular that it's unpasteurized, so it's got much more than additional qualities to it. Honey is great in terms of being antibacterial, of essentially resistant to any bacteria itself. So the worry is not having honey infected, and I've discussed this in the past. I mean, you can have honey in your counter for months, nothing's growing in it, because honey has so many antibacterial properties to it. So to make a honey eye wash, what I've got once again is about a quarter of a cup, a third to quarter of a cup of some warm water. I'd have you just do a teaspoon of honey, making this daily once again, you know, mixing that up. We got a teaspoon and about a quarter cup of water. So we just got a dilute water-honey combination. And grab yourself a syringe. In particular, they're pretty easy to pick up at any pharmacy. For instance, your veterinarian will sell you syringes. You can use I like this size, which is this 1 cc syringe. Sometimes we used to use these as insulin syringes. Small little guy here. And, you know, just there it is. It's got this dilute honey water combination. I've made it with boiling water to start, so I know it's sterile. I mixed in my teaspoon of honey, mixed it up, let it cool down to room temperature. Once again, 4 or 5 drops, 4 times a day, somewhere between 3 to 5 days. And that, once again, is another sort of last option to help you guys treat your dogs for bacterial conjunctivitis. The other thing I wanted to add about the honey is it's not just effective for bacteria, it also appears to be helpful for our dogs that have allergic conjunctivitis, and where they're especially thick and red and inflamed, conjunctiva. And in some cases there's this condition that's called follicular conjunctivitis, where there's such a degree of inflammation you actually get bumps on the conjunctiva. And in some cases that requires a pretty potent steroid, which isn't always working. And I had a few clients have actually been able to treat their dogs just by using honey, where, you know, all these other things have not been beneficial. Thanks again, you guys. Thanks, Pearl. I hope some of these have been helpful. Please leave comments as well as give me some suggestions for additional videos. I love to see your feedback, especially the thoughtful, respectful feedback, along with suggestions for additional videos. Thank you for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. What I want you to do now is click that link below to like this video, click up there to subscribe to my channel, and lastly, go ahead, click that link directly in the box below. And then when you sign up for my newsletter, I can send you my free books and videos on how to heal your dogs at home with my top natural remedies.